This is a really simple dress. There are no zippers, no buttons, none of all those things. It's just really simple and really easy to follow through. Let's get straight into this tutorial. Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Funmi, and if this is the first time you're seeing me, I'm very excited to meet you. Welcome, and you can subscribe now, or like if you need a little bit of convincing, then hopefully by the end of this video I'll have you convinced and I'm giving you multiple reasons to subscribe. So we are going to make a kimono dress. If you're not sure what a kimono dress is, there's a picture up here, and I don't know, it's just a really nice cute dress. You can wear it as a dress, you can wear it as a jacket, you can style it different ways based on what your style is. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. I just really love kimono dresses. I made one for someone recently, and after that I started to feel like I needed one too. Yes, we're using this beautiful Ankara print right here, very beautiful print, and I'm going to use black for like the edge of the sleeves and the edge of the neck and the rope and all of that. Like I have some black pieces of fabric, like some black leftover fabric that would work very well. Let's go. Alright, so we start out by folding out our fabric, and this side of the fabric that you're looking at, this is the wrong side of the fabric. So you fold it so that the wrong side is outside, because that's where you're doing all your chalk markings and everything. And then what we need for this tutorial is our Ankara fabric, the black fabric that I told you we'll add to it, tailor's chalk, office pins, measuring tape, scissors, your measurements, and that's it. Oh, and your sewing machine. So the measurements that we need your back measurement or your shoulder measurement, you need your bust, your waist, your hips, your gown length, your sleeve length, and then round sleeve, which is basically the circumference of the sleeve. So this dress is actually not for me, it's for my sister, and I just thought to mention that the dress is for my sister. So yes, so I'm using her measurements instead. And we're going to start off at the shoulder. Her shoulder measurement is 16, so we're going to mark 8, and then her sleeve, her armhole is about 8 inches. And so I'm going to mark 9 inches because we're going to slant the shoulder and sew it. And then at this point here is where you measure where you take your bust measurements. Okay, so when you fold over your fabric like this, you have to make sure that from your bust, your hips, and your waist, that's the 3 horizontal measurements, you have to make sure that this fold here is more than like the largest of those 3 measurements. So for example, if your widest part is your bust, you have to make sure that this fold that you do here is more than your bust measurements divided by 4. It's not a fitted dress, so you're going to need to add like some inches of allowance. So you need more fabric than your widest parts. I hope I'm making sense. So her bust measurement is about 42 inches. So here I'm going to measure 42 inches divided by 4, which is 10.5. Then we're going to add in our sewing allowance. Now this is left to you, how much allowance you want to add, but for this particular dress I think I'm going to add like, let's say 2 inches of allowance at the bust area, the 10.5, and then 1 inch for sewing allowance, and then 2 inches for just extra allowance. And then her gown length is 44 inches, that's actually around the same length as like Ankara fabric. Yeah, so we have 46 inches here. Her gown length is 44. This 44 is actually below her knee. It's longer than she wants this dress to be, so I think we can mark it exactly on 44 without adding any allowance or anything. As we've already established by now, a kimono dress is not fitted in any way. So after marking this point here, her hip measurement is actually 43 inches, which is wider than her bust. So 44 inches, yeah. 44 inches divided by 4 will have 11. Looking at the shape of this dress, it's kind of like an A-line kind of thing. So from here, we're just going to let it flow out. So that's what I'm just going to mark right now. I didn't draw the line to really be exactly like so straight. It's kind of curved at that area there, just to give it a bit of shape. So yeah, I'll just draw my armhole now, just connecting all these points. If the curve of the armhole is not so easy for you to get, you can always use like a French curve. And then for the neck area, for the width of the neck, I'm using 4 inches, so I'm just going to mark 4 inches wide. And this part that we're cutting right now is the back of the dress, so it's just going to be 1.5 inches deep. Some people use 1 inch. I'm using 1.5 inches, so I'm just going to connect all these points together and draw that curve that you have for a neck. And then you remember the shoulder slant, so you go like 1 inch down and then you slant the shoulder, because nobody's shoulder is like all angular, so it's a bit slanted. You can use 1 inch, you can use 1.5 inches, really anything that works for you, that's fine. So there you have it. This is the back of the dress, and I'm just going to cut it out now. Okay, so this is what we have for the back of our kimono dress, I mean. So for the front part, that's the next thing that we're going to cut. The front of the dress has 2 pieces, because you know, like it's kind of like a wrap dress, so you wrap it around yourself. It's African print, and I know the pattern is kind of busy, so you might not notice, but I've laid out the back that we just cut on this side. So this is where I folded the front part. I folded this part over and then I laid the back out. But here's what I did. I've left about 5 inches here, the gap between the center back and then the center of where I folded. So there is some gap here, because these 2 pieces are not like, it's not just half of the back, so there's going to be kind of like an extension. You see the difference in these shapes when I cut them. This is the neck here, so I'm just going to fold the neck over to make a sort of V-neck kind of shape, because that's kind of how the front is. So I'm just folding it over and holding it in place with a pin. Now I'm just going to cut from the shoulder to the armhole to the side of the dress and then the bottom area. But for the front, that's where the difference is, for that center front area. This is the center front now, so I'm just going to cut kind of like a long V-shape line, like a long horizontal line across the front. That's why I folded the neck of the back. And here's what we have for the front. As you can see I laid it out, so I overlapped the 2 pieces the way it would be when you wear it, so it creates like a V-neck. I think I'm going to make it a bit deeper, because if I leave it like this, when I add the black, it's going to add some length to it and it's going to be even higher than this. I don't want the neck to be too high for her, so I'm just going to trim it down a bit and then move on to the sleeves. Next up, we have the sleeves. So I've already folded the fabric over, and the first thing that we're going to do is to measure the length. Now her sleeve length is 24 inches, but I'm going to measure 23 inches, and I'm taking out 1 inch instead of adding 1 inch or 2 for sewing allowance, because if you remember the picture of our kimono dress, there's like a bit of we're going to use the black at the hem of the sleeves, and that's going to add about 2 inches to the length of it. So you don't want it to be too long, to the extent that like the person will be uncomfortable or won't be able to do some things, like, you know. So I'm going to measure 23 inches for the length and just mark that. The sleeves are also wider at the hem. This is what we're going to use for the hem, because the sleeve is also wider at the hem. So For her armhole, I measured the armhole on her dress and it's about 11 inches. So we're going to draw a lazy S for the armhole, and we're going to just, after drawing that, we'll measure it and mark it at 11 inches. After drawing it, I measured to make sure it's 11 inches, which is like half of the armhole measurement. So that is what is here. And for this, the shape of this sleeve that we're doing is kind of like really wide at the hem of the sleeve. So, and my sister said she wants it to be very wide, like she wants it to be extra wide. So I'm going to go for, let's go for 17 inches. That's like 16 inches with an inch for sewing allowance, so that's 17 inches. So I'm just going to mark 17 inches here at the hem, and then all I'm going to do now is connect these 17 inches to this point here where the armhole ends. So you connect this with a straight line. You can use a ruler, or if you feel like you can just wing it, then you can do that as well. So that's what we have. So now I'm just going to cut it out. So this is what we have, and I'm going to place it on the other side and cut the exact same thing for the second sleeve. Okay, so there we have it. We have our two sleeves ready. I've already gone ahead to cut the black strips that we need for the hem of the sleeves, for the edge of the neck, and then for the rope that we're going to use to tie the waist of the dress. Let me show you. From my black fabric, I basically cut long strips of fabric, and all of them, each of them are 6 inches wide. That's 6 inches thick, and then the length depends on what you're using it for. The length of the one for the sleeves will depend on the width of your sleeve. One for the rope will depend on how long you want the rope to be. So it just depends on the measurement of your dress. So I've gone on to cut as much as I would need, as much as I believe I would need. So now I'm going to start joining the dress together. First part that I will be joining would be the shoulder seams. So I'll join the front to the back by the shoulders, and then I'll sew the seams at the two sides. Alright, so now our dress is looking a bit like a jacket. We've already joined up the seams at the shoulders and at the sides. Now I just want to show you how I'm going to attach the black on the neck area. So you basically fold it into two. Remember, we made it 6 inches wide, so you basically fold it in half, with the front side, the right side of the fabric is outside. You take it, and then at the bottom of the dress, that's where you start all the way to the neck. So you join them together like this, and then you stitch it all the way, and that's how you do. This is the back, by the way, so this would be the front, and this is how it would look. So that's what I'm going to do now, all around the neck, and then on the edge of the sleeves as well. Okay, so progress report. This is what we have right now. I've joined the black to the Ankara, and this is what it looks like. This is the sleeve. This is the close-up look at it. The next thing that I'm going to do now is just to join the sleeves to the body of the dress. So I'm going to close up the side of the sleeves, and then I'm going to attach it to the body. And then I've also gone ahead to do the rope, like the rope that you're going to tie around the dress. But since I didn't do that, like I didn't show you how I did it, I just have a small sample here, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So you basically just fold it and you sew all the way around the rope, but then you have to leave some space where you turn it through, and then you close up that space. That's simply it. So now I'm just going to do the sleeves and hem it, and then we'll be done with our dress, and my sister is going to model it, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so this is my sister Fisayo, and she's the one that we made the kimono dress for. Her dress is ready, and that's what she's wearing right now. So it's time for the big reveal. Okay. Okay, so Saya is going to sign out of today's video for us.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really love my dress. Like, I love my dress so much. Please, if you have any questions about this dress, anything at all, comment section, ask your questions. And yes, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell their enemies and their loved ones and their neighbors. Please, and thank you. Bye.